Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I'm seeing The Nut Job 2. Well then, The Nut Job 2. Did I see The Nut Job 1? Let me ask that question. Did I watch The Nut Job 1? No! Nobody's watched The Nut Job 1. Most people don't even know there is a Nut Job 1. The only reason I knew there was a Nut Job 1 because that title... Okay. So for those of you who don't know, the Nut Job, I believe, is something about squirrels trying to steal nuts. There you go. That's the movie. But that title, man. I've made fun of the title, It Comes at Night, but that's mostly just my immaturity. It's not really like a bad title in that way, you know. It comes at night, hurdy her. No, come on. It's a little more serious than that. Broly's Second Coming, that was a bad translation, you know. And it's not spelled the same way, of course. You can just say, "Oh, you're just being immature." But when I imagine the title "The Nut Job," there is nothing that I can see besides a sex act. I'm sorry, I cannot honestly imagine the title The Nut Job and not see a sex act. You could say to me, alright Glenn, I'm going to say a phrase to you. Do not imagine some sort of sex act. And I'll be like, okay. I'll say, The Nut Job. Damn it. You can't do it. I'm sorry. Who the fuck came up with that title? It's so awful. I mean, granted, I haven't, heard of this particular sex act. I don't know if it's an actual term for a sex act, but for Christ's sake, it sounds like one. Like, I think it'd be like naming your movie French Tickler. Like, and it's a kid's movie, for crying out loud. What is this, Sweden? Oh, God. So anyway, I'm harping on about the title because the movie looks boring and I have absolutely nothing else to say about it. So, let's get to the watching, I guess. Okay. I'm at a loss of words. I don't know what to say. I would call this movie an epic failure, except I'm not even sure what it was attempting to do in the first place. If that makes any sense. Where do I even start? It's as if this movie was made by... It's like almost everybody on production had no idea how to make a movie. Like, yet alone a sequel, just a movie, like a screenplay with normal dialogue that progresses in a third act structure, or animation that doesn't look like dog crap, or, well, it's not that bad, but, you know, it's like a sub-illumination, which is lazy, but, you know, whatever, or imagery that isn't terrible, or likable characters. Like, they don't quite understand these things. I think they're trying, but they don't get it. And in fact, I'm gonna call out someone specifically for one aspect of the movie. I'm getting this info off of IMDb, so forgive me if it's wrong, but J.R. Fountain, the sound designer for The Nut Job 2. Must be very proud of yourself. The music in the movie is not supposed to overpower the voices of the people speaking in the movie. It's not supposed to overpower the dialogue. We're supposed to still be able to hear what people are saying with the music playing. Okay? Okay. I hope you will learn and you will do better in the future. I know it may sound a little difficult, but just when somebody's talking, you draw it back a little. I remember at the beginning part of the movie, there was like several different jokes, like funny moments that I could barely hear because the music behind them was blasting so loud. They got like a few different pop songs that they could use for different scenes in the movie. Very out of place, by the way. This movie honestly feels like something from China that was dubbed over for an American audience, and we just don't understand what exactly is going on, like it was badly translated or something. Which I don't think is the case, because everything lip-synced really well, like the character mouths moved with what they were saying, so I don't think it was like a dubbed thing, although it did have Chinese production companies, judging by the opening logos and stuff. But, yeah, still, I don't get the movie. Like, let's say from this perspective, I don't get what it was trying to get across from a message standpoint. It clearly had some sort of message going on, but it's hard for me to figure out. So the movie starts off, presumably at the end of the first one, where they have this nut shack. Well, it's called the Nut Shop, but I call it the Nut Shack. It's the Nut Shack. It's the Nut Shack. It's the Nut Shack. Okay, I could go on. And like, later they just have an abundance of nuts to eat. Those are all squirrels and groundhogs and shit, and they have a bunch of nuts to eat. Okay, and I think the problem is, as demonstrated by, like, the female love interest, is that, like, they're losing their scavenging ability, and this is a bad thing. But from the very beginning, I was just thinking, well, what do you want them to do? They have this big cache of nuts that is all for them. It's like from an abandoned nut store. Why shouldn't they eat it? Like, honestly, should they let it rot? Like, especially since, like, many points in the movie, they've kind of pointed out, like, that the scavenging shit is not only, like, extremely hard, but it doesn't produce very good results. Like, at one point, she shared her winter storage that she'd been saving up for several months. And it was, like, 7 really moldy-looking acorns. And I'm just wondering, wait, so is this movie, like, against being lazy? Or, because it seems like hard work isn't paying off very well. Like, what is the message of the movie exactly? Like, I can understand problems with the nut house, nut shack, whatever. I can understand the problem with it, the problem being that it's not going to replenish itself. They have plenty of nuts for probably several years, but, like, eventually they'll run out. Like, honestly, if I were going with a plot like this, I'd probably start it off, like, several years after the first movie, where they're running low on nuts, and they're all fat and lazy, and they don't know what to do anymore. You know, that could be something. It could be, like, a message of, like, sustainability in some way, but instead it just seemed to be, you should be a scavenger, you should work really hard, even if you don't have to, because that in and of itself is better. But then they lose that, even a weird message like that, they lose that like 30 minutes into the movie, and it becomes more of a thing of, we gotta take back the park from the evil businessman from the Lorax, who's gonna turn it into an amusement park. Your messages are clashing, that these aren't the same things. I don't get it. I really don't. It's almost as if somebody had an idea for, like, a sequel where the park is being taken away, but it didn't match at all with the ending of the first movie, because if the park's being taken away, who the hell cares? They have a house full of nuts. You know? And, like, they couldn't quite figure out how to make it work. So instead they just had the house blow up. Like, honestly, it just explodes. Coincidentally, when everybody is outside, I was lucky, considering they supposedly lived there. I don't know. And yeah, it just becomes a thing of save the park, everybody. Protect the environment. And that's what the movie becomes. Like, see what I mean? Like, the messages are just so confusing, and they don't seem to mesh very well with each other, and they aren't very well executed. See what I mean? Kind of like it's a weirdly translated Chinese film that we just don't understand completely. Every part of that movie is like that. It's hard for me to, like, give a full criticism of it, because it's hard for me to completely understand what they were going for in the first place. You know, Jesus, it's like I'm reviewing some sort of art house film in a weird way. I didn't like any of the characters, not really. Voice acting was all over the place. Some people were okay, some people were just awful. The jokes weren't very funny. There was, although people did still laugh a lot more than they did in the Emoji Movie. First laugh of this movie, I just counted just because, came in 3 minutes into the film, and people were laughing on and off throughout it. Plus, my theater had a lot more people in it than it did with the Emoji Movie. I don't know how to feel about that. Well, the Emoji Movie, I guess, is a much worse idea. Well, this movie has less of a production budget. Oh god, I don't know. Oh god, it feels like the 2016 election. I don't know who to choose. But anyway, there's... I don't know. This movie sucks, that's all you gotta know, that, basically. It's like a direct-to-DVD film to a direct-to-DVD film, yet somehow both of them were in theaters. There you go, those all my buzzwords I'm gonna use, so... It sucks. And until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dyer-Situation.